Welcome back. A day after the Leafs beat the Florida Panthers in their series opener, one of the big questions is the status of their goalie, Anthony Stolarz.
TP24's Melissa Duggan joins us live from Maple Leaf Square. Melissa, you're going to be talking to TSN Radio's Matt Cauz, right?
Yeah, that's right. And definitely we want to kick things off talking about goalie Matt Stolarz to find out exactly what we can expect coming up next. So let's bring him in right now. TSN 1050's Matt Cauz. Thanks so much for being with us. What is going on with our goaltender? Can we expect him tomorrow night?
I would say the odds are probably slim that we will see him tomorrow. Now, you never know when it comes to head trauma, possible concussion. It's always a mystery in terms of the timeline. What we know is he went to the hospital last night. He was released. He was with the team this morning. And according to players, he was all smiles. So certainly a massive contrast to just the scene last night in Toronto where he was throwing up on the team bench and taken to the hospital via stretcher. So certainly he's doing a lot better now than what he was 12 hours ago. But this is going to be something we probably won't know until tomorrow afternoon. Coach Craig Berube said he's not ruled out Stolarz, so there is a chance of it happening, a small chance.
Obviously, there is concern for Anthony Stolarz and his well-being, but I wonder if you could talk about just how instrumental he's been in getting the Leafs where they are right now.
Well, the Leafs won their division for the first time in over 2 decades. They were one of the top teams in terms of goals against. Now, part of that obviously was improved defense, but part of it was Stolarz. If you look at his numbers, he was one of the top goalies in terms of save percentage, in terms of goals against. He played more games than he ever had before in his career. If you look at everyone that was brought into the team last offseason, he's been an absolute home run considering the money he's getting paid. At the beginning of the year, it was sort of a battle between him and Joseph Walbot, who was going to be the starter. By the end of the regular season, it was no doubt that Stolarz was going to be the starter in the Game 1 start in the playoffs, as we saw in the series against Ottawa, where he was really good, and he was good for his limited time last night as well.
Break down what you saw last night on the ice. What is that telling you about the series that's to come, and how you're thinking that the Leafs are faring up to the Panthers?
I have to tell you, I was really impressed, especially in the first 2 periods. I know in the third period, the ice tilted. Florida got 3 goals. They were the desperate team. But Toronto was more physical than Florida in the first 2 periods. The opening 40 minutes, I was impressed with how they handled Florida's forecheck. You can go back and look at those goals, those Nylander goals. They were set up by players like Max Pacioretty or Oliver Ekman-Larsson, taking the hits, absorbing the punishment from Florida, but then getting the puck where it needed to go. No one expected Toronto to be up 4-1 after 2 periods. Tampa scored 12 goals in 5 games. Toronto managed 5 last night, all of them at even strength. I thought it was a really impressive performance. That'll get marred, obviously, by the injury to Stolarz and what's going to happen. But from a pure on-ice performance, I thought Toronto was excellent last night, with the exception, obviously, of the power play.
Yeah, anyone outperforming your expectations after what we saw in round 1?
Max Pacioretty. Max Pacioretty, who was great in Game 6 against Ottawa. I thought he was fantastic. Craig Berube moved him up from one of the lower lines to the second line with Tavares and Nylander, and that line was dangerous. And Pacioretty's not going to get the glory that Nylander is, but neither one of those goals. Nylander does not score without Max Pacioretty making the right play, getting in the proper position, being okay, taking the hits from the Florida forwards and defense. So if anyone, I would say Max Pacioretty was number 1 on my list.
And Matt, can I get a prediction from you? What are you expecting from the Leafs going forward?
I expect Florida to win Game 2. I expect they are going to come out with a lot more push than what we saw in the Game 1. But I will say this, I was much more pessimistic about this series. But with Toronto winning Game 1, it puts the pressure on the Panthers. It means that Florida is the team chasing. I think now this series is going to go 7, which is a really cowardly way for me to answer this question, because if I'm wrong, I'm only kind of wrong. But I will just say I feel a lot better about the Leafs after what we saw in the first 40 minutes last night.
Oh, we'll take what we can get there. Thanks so much for that. Yeah. Matt Cauz, TSN 1050s. Thanks so much for being with us. So Bakari and Lena, we are hearing some optimism there, what we could expect from the Leafs going forward.